Shalom. When reading the Hebrew Bible, the presence or absence of even the tiniest particle can make all the difference in the world. In Genesis 25:23 is a parade example of that. The verse says in English, "And the Lord answered her, 2 nations are in your womb, 2 separate peoples shall issue from your body. One people shall be mightier than the other, and the older shall serve the younger." This is from the new JPS translation. Now, in context, Yitzchak has just taken Rivka as his bride, and when she's finally able to have children, there's this conflict going on in her womb. 2 babies, twins, are fighting in her womb, and she can't figure out what's going on. So she inquires of the Lord, and the Lord explains what's going on. So let's take a look at this, however, in Hebrew, because in English, at first glance, it might look like this is an oracle, okay, where before the twins are born, God has already decided what the fate of both of them are going to be. And I should point out, if this is an oracle, it's sui generis unique. It's the only case of an oracle in the whole Hebrew Bible. And of course, I don't believe that's what it is. In Greek literature, of course, that's quite possible. For example, you might have an oracle about how this baby is going to grow up and he will kill his father and marry his mother or something like that. And no matter what the characters in the story try to do to hinder this from happening, they just ensure that it happens all the more. The Hebrew Bible is not like that. Every day we are born with a new set of choices, and we choose to obey the Yetzer HaTov or the Yetzer Hara, the good inclination or the evil inclination. So let's take another look at this passage in Hebrew. And here we see in Hebrew, Vayomer Adonai la Shnei goyim bevitnech, u'shnei le'umim mime'aich yiparedu, u'le'om mil'om ye'amatz, v'harav ya'avod tza'ir. Okay, so 2 nations are in your womb, but then look at this. Rav ya'avod tza'ir is the last 3 words here. That's what we're concerned about right now. Does this mean the greater will serve the younger? There's a tiny little particle in Hebrew called et that could resolve this ambiguity. Et would mean v'rav ya'avod et hatza'ir. The older will serve the younger, but there is no et here. And so the text is ambiguous because word order can be very free in Hebrew, unlike in English. So you could just as easily translate this, and the younger will serve the older. So what is the text trying to tell us? Okay. The text can be read 2 different ways from the beginning. Now, right off the bat, before the chapter even ends, Esav sells his birthright for a bowl of soup. And we're told, Vayivez Esav et ha-bechorah. And Esau despised his birthright. Okay, it was light to him. It wasn't anything important. Whereas Yaakov he didn't trick his brother here, but he actually wasn't acting very brotherly either, because he sort of extorts this birthright from him. But nonetheless, the birthright was important to Yaakov. Further on, we see this account of the deception set up by his mother Rivka for him to get his father's blessing. And there's the story where she convinces Yaakov to put goat skins over his arms, so when his father feels him. He feels the hairiness of his brother Esav. But he says the voice is the voice of Yaakov, but the hands are the hands of Esav. So something is strange, but he goes ahead and he blesses Yaakov. And Jewish tradition has a lot to say about this, but we don't have time to go into that right now. What I do want to point out is, at first it looks like, okay, the older will serve the younger. Esav was the older. He came out just a few minutes before Yaakov. And so it looks like Yaakov's got the blessing and the birthright. But he also got it through deception. He goes into the land of Haran, where he's deceived by Lavan. That's a whole other story. And then when he comes back from Aram Naharaim, which is where the patriarchs come from, in Genesis 33, after wrestling with Esav's angel, Yaakov, in chapter 33, verse 3, Yaakov went ahead and bowed low to the ground 7 times before his brother Esav, who came out to meet him with 600 men. And he bows down to the ground 7 times until he was near his brother, and bows down, and then he presents, all of these gifts and everything, and his children, his wives, and Esav asks, what's all this? And he says, it's the children whom your God has favored, your Eved, your servant, your slave. And he keeps referring to him as Adoni, my Lord, and to himself as your slave or your servant. And there's a lot that I could point out here from the Jewish tradition, from the Midrash and Targum, but time will permit me right now just to point out. He says that Yesh li hakol, I have everything, please accept this gift that I have for you. And so it looks like he's trying to make up for the stolen bracha, the stolen blessing from Esav. Now, in the later histories of the two peoples, Esav goes on to become the father of the nation Edom. And Yaakov, of course, goes on to become the father of the nation Israel. Now, you could quote to me the book of Malachi, the prophet, where in chapter 1, the Lord says that Yaakov I have chosen, and yet Esav I hate. And yet here it's talking not about from the birth of Yaakov and Esav, before they've done anything. It's talking about the nation Edom and the nation Israel. And in the light of their behavior, God has said that he hates Edom, or Esav's descendants. But we, as I say, we nowhere have this concept of an oracle that is going to be fulfilled regardless of what the characters in the story do. Instead, it's basic in Jewish culture and throughout the Hebrew Bible that every day we all have choices to make. We can listen to the Yetzer HaTov, or the good inclination, or we can listen to the Yetzer Hara, or the evil inclination. And we will bring blessings and curses into our lives depending on which voice we listen to every day of our lives. Thank you. Now, if you've enjoyed this lesson and you would like to learn more, please check out our website, TorahAndSemiticLanguages.com. I have a link to it. It's the Institute for Torah and Semitic Languages. And I have a link to it below. And please click on there and maybe check out one of our courses. Thank you very much.